Hi, what's good, Divi users? I actually had a request from a client a couple of days ago that she wanted to have different logos on different pages of her website. I looked into it and found out that Divi surprisingly does not offer that function. So what I had to do was go in and edit the header.php file to get the result. But then again, it got me thinking, editing the header.php file is not everyone's cup of tea. So I did a little bit of digging around to see if there is a CSS only solution to that. I now think that I have come up with a solution, but this is might be a little bit lengthy, but it's simpler than editing the header.php file. So what we are trying to accomplish here is we have this primary logo, but we have pages setup, home, contact, about, and gallery. We want this to be the default logo for any other pages that we might add in the future, or for stuff like that we want this to be the logo. But for the other subsequent pages, contact, about, and gallery, we want this and this logo to be there respectively. I'm doing this in real time, so please bear with me if I make some mistakes. I'll probably make some, might make quite a lot, but this is basically how we do it. So the most important attributes we are going to use for this is the page ID attribute of WordPress, and also some of the predefined classes that Divi offers for the logo. Remember that while it does not require you to know PHP and JavaScript, it needs you to be knowledgeable in CSS. You don't have to be an expert, but you have to know what does what in CSS. As we know that Divi offers different kinds of header styles, header formats for the websites. This is the default format, this is the centered format, this is the centered inline, and this is the slide in, and this is the full screen. So let's just get the default done first, because for different styles, for the different header formats, we will be using different CSS codes. Okay, now that we are done with the intro, I will link the timestamps in the description. You can just jump to that time depending upon the header style that you are using, and just follow it from there, or you can just watch the whole video and get a better understanding of how things are working. So let's get default sorted. What we are going to do is we're going to go to the contact page, but before that, let's say that the home page needs to have the original logo, and the contact, about, and gallery pages will have the different ones. We'll go ahead and edit the page. We'll take a note of the post ID here. This is the page ID actually of the page. This is 6456. We'll right click on the view page. We'll open it in a new tab. Now, a lot of people might argue that this is not the most efficient way to get things done in CSS, but I like to do it this way. This makes things a lot easier for me. So what I do is I just inspect the element, and as you can see, there is logo ID for the image that we are using as a logo. There is this ID called logo for it, and there is a logo container. So what we are going to do is this is more of a CSS hack, instead of just going and hard coding everything. This is just a CSS hack. So we are going to go to logo ID. We'll just go back to the dashboard. We'll use Now we'll add a custom code. For this, I'm using this plugin called Simple Custom CSS and JS. What this does is it is a pretty handy plugin. It lets you add CSS codes and JavaScript codes as posts, as you add the same way that you add posts in your WordPress. It lets you add CSS codes as posts. You can list them, and you can see what's where and what is what. You can name them, so it helps you keep your code organized. We'll go ahead and add a CSS code. Let's just name it contact page. and default header style. Now we have to go in and fetch the page ID. As you can see, the post ID, the page ID actually is 6456. So what we are going to do is we'll add in page ID 6456, and where we have inspected the element, the image ID is logo. So what we do here is we type in img with its ID, and we'll do a display none, and we'll add an important tag to it. So if we publish it, now what this does is it removes the logo from the page. Oof. Okay, so for the next step, we will go to this logo container. We will go back to our media library. We want this logo to be there, so we'll just copy its address. So for this logo container, we will just see, the beauty of inspect element is you can add codes in real time and see what they do, just for the preview sake. So if it works, we can just copy it and paste it inside our actual CSS code over here. So I want to do a background URL, and we'll add the URL we copied, and we'll add a no repeat at the end of it. Now depending on the size of your image, the background may be small, the background may be big, so we can adjust the size of the background like this. Background size, let's do a 20%, that seems fine, or let's do a 40%. Oh, it's too big. Let's do a 30% right here. 30 is too big. Let's do a 25%. This looks perfect. Now what we are going to do is we'll adjust the background position to left. Now what this does is there was a slight hiccup in the size of it, so it vertically centers the background. Now that this is working, we'll just copy everything and we will paste it here. But now before the logo container, we will have to add page ID 6456. Now what this does actually is this logo, it makes it exclusive only for the contact page, which has an ID of 6456 right here. It makes it exclusive only for the contact page. Now if we update this, we will see that the logo has been replaced. If we go back to home page, the logo is same. If you visit any other page, we will see that the logo is same. Now, let's go to the contact page. There. Now let's get the about page sorted, shall we? Now this is the easy part. You just have to copy everything. Let's just copy this. And what we need to do is just change the page ID over here, and the URL of the image that we want to use over here. So let's just add a custom code over here. We will name this about page default, oh, my spelling is atrocious, default header styles. We'll just paste it over here. We don't have any need for this page anymore. We will edit the the about page. Let's take a note of the post ID over here. It's 6454. Now for the logo, what we are going to do is we'll be using this logo. We'll copy its path and we'll replace the path over here. Now remember, since this logo and this logo are of different sizes, we might have to adjust the width and the size of the background. Now if we publish this, We will view the page here. There you have it. The size seems good, but if there is a different, if there is a hiccup in the size, then you can just go over here and adjust the background size property. Excuse me. Now we'll just copy everything again. Now this one we're doing for the gallery page. We'll edit the page. Take a note of the ID. It's 6466. We'll add a custom CSS. Now we are doing gallery. And this is a default header style. Now what we are doing this for, actually why we are doing this bigger, and just separating these codes. For every different page I'm adding a different code, a different post, as you can see here. Let me show you real quick. Custom code. Now you can see that we have gallery default header style, about page default header style. Why we are doing this is we will have to do for centered inline as well. So this helps us keep track of things. There's for example, I want to know where the default header style codes for the gallery page is. So boom, it's right here. So like I said, this plugin lets you keep things organized. We'll just paste the code here. We'll take a note of the post. It's 6466 and 6466, and we'll go back to the media library. We will use this logo for the gallery, and we will paste it here, the URL of course, and we'll update this. Now we'll view the page. Now see it. So if you want to make this a little bit bigger, like I said, you can go and edit the background size property over here. So this is for the default header style, and we will now be doing the centered header style for this. The code doesn't differentiate a lot, but there are some classes that we need to adjust for different header styles that Divi offers. Okay, now we move on to the centered header. It is already published, as you can see. Let's reload this page just to make sure. Okay, so that logo is now centered. So what we will do, like we did with the default header style, is edit the page. We'll take a note of the post 6452. This is the page ID for home. Oh, actually we're not going to do home. We'll just start with contact. We want the default logo in home, so we'll just start with contact, and we will edit this page. Let's just open this in a new tab. We'll take a note of the post here, 6456, and we'll inspect the element over here. As you can see that the image has an ID of logo. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a custom CSS code. I'll be linking this plugin in the description. Pretty handy. Okay, let's just go to the CSS code, and we'll just name it the contact page. Centered header style. We'll go down here, and first and foremost we will add page ID. The post ID is 6456 and we'll add img logo, and we'll set it to display none. Let's just add an important tag to it just in case. Now if we publish it, the logo will disappear on the contact page. Now what the page ID does in WordPress is it makes the changes that we made. It makes the styles that we have added exclusive to a particular page. As you can see, the about page still has the logo, and the gallery page should have as well. The contact page has no logo over here. Now let's just inspect the element. You will see a class called logo container over here. So now what we're going to do is, let's just go back here. We'll take this, we'll copy this path of the image. Now we'll add the background URL. And paste it. Now depending on the size of the image, you will see the background covering the whole screen or the background small over there, which we can adjust using the background size property. But for now, let's add a no repeat over here. We'll set a background size. I'm setting it at 25%, but it might be different for you depending upon the size of your logo. We'll set a background position property to centered. Nice and clean. Now we'll copy this from Firefox, and we're just gonna paste it here, and we'll add a page ID of 6456. We'll reload this page just to make sure that the changes have taken effect, which they have. Now we'll go to the about page. We don't need this anymore. We'll edit the page. Let's take a note of the post ID here, 6454. We'll copy this, and we will go and add a custom CSS. Now let's enter a title about page, center, header, style. We'll paste it here. Now the changes we are going to make here is to the page ID, which is 6454, and to the background URL. We will not be using this logo, we are going to use this logo. So we'll copy the path of this logo and we will paste it here. Now you might have to edit the background size property over here, but you might not need to, depending on the size of your logo. Now we will view page. Now this is changed over here. As you can see, the contact page will have a different logo, the about page will have a different logo, and the home page will have a different logo. Now we'll go to gallery page. This still has the default logo. We're about to change it now. We'll copy this. We'll add a custom CSS. We'll add a gallery page, centered, header, style. And we'll paste this. Now the changes we are going to make is the same. We'll edit the page. 6466 is the page ID. We'll replace it with 6466 and 6466 over here as well. Now we want to use this for the gallery page as the logo. We will paste this here and we'll publish it. Now we'll edit page, go to view page, and boom. Now since this logo is a little bit small, we can inspect the element. We can go to the background size property over here, and let's just keep it at a 35%, or let's just push our luck and go at 45. Now this looks good. But remember, this is just for preview purposes. and if you really want the size to change, you will have to do it over here. Let me do 40% actually. Now since this is updated, we'll go over here. Now that does it for the centered header style. Now we move on to centered inline logo. Okay, now we move on to centered inline logo. We want the home to have the default logo. We want contact to have a different logo. We want about to have a different logo, and we want gallery to have a different logo. So let's just move on to contact page first. We'll edit the page. We'll take a note of the post ID 6456. We'll view page in a new tab. Let's just go ahead and inspect element over here. Now it's the same with Divi, it gives the logo ID to the image that we are using as the logo. So now with that, let's just add a custom CSS code. Add the contact page, centered inline logo. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to punch in page ID. The page ID for the contact page is 6456, and we'll do an img with an ID of logo. We'll set it to display none with an important just in case. Now for this actually involves overriding some default theme styles, so we will be using important tag of the CSS in 3 places. So what we are going to do here is, once we have inspected the element, we'll reload the page, and as we can see that the logo sorry, I hadn't updated the page, so that's why it was not working. The logo is gone. Now we'll inspect the element. If you watched this whole video, you might have noticed that I've been actually using the logo container class that Divi offers the most. But for this, what we are going to use is, we're not going to use the logo container. We will be using the centered inline logo wrap class. Now let's just go over here. What we are going to do is we're going to add a background to it. URL. Now let's go to the media library. We want to use this, so we'll copy the path for this. We'll paste it over here and add a no repeat. We can adjust the size of the background. Background size is going to be 100%, and background position is going to be centered. Now what we are going to do is we're going to adjust the width of the wrap. Let's keep it at a 300 pixel, and we will have to add important over here. Now what this does is it increases the size of your logo. So if you want the size of the logo not to increase, you can omit using the width property. We will add a height. You can see that the logo is way below the navbar items, so to fix that, we'll add a height to it. Let's just say 270 pixels, and we'll add an important tag to it. Now see, if this doesn't fix it, you can increase or decrease the height of the the wrap to your liking. See, 370 brings it a little bit up. Let's keep it at 390. See, brings it perfectly in line. Now we're going to just copy this up till centered inline logo, and we will go and paste it over here. Now before that, we'll add page ID 6456 and give it a space, and we'll update the code. Remember, if you do not use important tags on the width and the height properties, this code won't work. We'll reload the page and see, there you have it. So now let's just, if I do not want this logo to be of this size, so I just will go to inspect element, and actually I'm not going to go to that. I'm just going to go here, remove the width property, and I'm going to update my code. And there you have it. Okay, so the home page does have the default logo, the about page will have the default logo, but this we are going to change. We do not need this anymore. We'll go ahead and open the link in new tab. We'll take the note of the ID over here, 6454. We'll just go to CSS, we'll copy everything, add a custom code, name it about page, centered inline header style. We're gonna go and paste it here, and the things we are going to replace is the page ID and the URL of the image that we are going to use. So for the page ID, I will be replacing this with 6454, that is the page ID of the about page. And the logo we will be using is not this one, this one. We'll copy the path of the logo, we'll select this text and replace it here, and we'll go ahead and publish it. Now if you reload this page, there we have it. Now see, if you want this logo to be bigger, or if you want this logo to move up or down, we will have to go to centered inline logo wrap over here, see where our code is, and we will have to adjust the height, 400 pixels. Alright, that seems good. And we'll add a width to it. Let's add a 400 pixel width to it, and add an important tag. Actually 400 seems too big. Let's do a 300 pixels width. And this property we will have to, you can enter it manually, or you can just copy it and paste it over here. Now if you reload the page, the changes stick. So contact page now has a different logo, the about page now has a different logo, and the gallery page is the one we will be changing now. And for the gallery page, what we will be doing is we'll be copying this code again. We'll add a new CSS code, just gallery page, centered inline header style. We'll copy, we'll paste the code here. We will edit the gallery page. We'll take a note of the ID 6466. Alright, now we'll publish it. Oh, actually we forgot something. We want to use this for the gallery page. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the image URL with the URL we want to use. Update. Now if you view the page, we'll see that the logo has been replaced. Now for this, if you want to make it a little bit bigger, you know what to do. Let's just add a width of 400 pixels over here. which we will do here as well, so that the changes are reflected. So there you have it. We have covered centered inline logo, and as I said, the codes for default, slide in, and the full screen are the same. We have covered centered as well, and we have covered centered inline logo as well. The downsides I can see to this method is that the logo, while it is replaced, the logo is no more a link, as in you cannot click the logo to go back to home page. So that is something you'll have to live with. Actually, for the centered inline logo, it works, but for the other styles I have tested and it does not work. Since it is a background, we cannot do anything about it. A little bit of JavaScript might help, but this is not a JavaScript tutorial, is it? So that's it. That is how you do it. And the plugin I have used actually is custom CSS and JS. No, they are not paying me. It's just a really, really good plugin. And as you can see, you can activate and deactivate your codes. You can name them, you can organize them, and just be sure not to use centered header style and centered inline logo style codes at the same time in your website, because that will mess things up. I will be linking all the codes in the description, so you can go and download them. And for how to use it, you have a look at this video.